day students. Let us learn something very interesting in class 8 grammar. So we are talking about worksheet 5. So what are the topics that we are going to learn here? Adverbial phrase and clause, revise if clauses types 1, 2 and 3. So let's look at adverbial phrases and clauses. What do you mean by an adverbial phrase? An adverbial phrase is a phrase which does the work of a standalone adverb in the sentence. So you can easily read the sentence and find out the standalone, that is the independent adverb in the sentence. So that's called as the adverbial phrase. And what is an adverbial clause? It is a fuller structure, rather a fuller sentence with a subject and a verb, which also does the work of an adverb. So here it is, I can put it in different words, like it is a fuller sentence, a fuller structure which has a subject and a verb. In adverbial phrase you won't have a subject and a verb, but here you do have a subject and a verb which also does the work of an adverb. So adverbial phrases and clauses, if you look at the examples, we must finish our work before this weekend, which is an adverbial phrase. We must finish our work before we go on a holiday, that's adverbial clause. I am saving money to buy a car, which is your adverbial clause. I am saving money so that I can buy a car. I saw the film before I left for Dehradun. I saw the film before my trip to Dehradun. So these are the different examples that you can understand looking at the adverbial phrases and clauses. Now, what are the types of adverbial clause? If you look at the types, here I am just explaining you this, though we are not going to do any exercise based on this. But as you are doing adverbial clauses, you should have probably an understanding of the adverbial clauses in complete. So here if you see, we have different adverbial clauses like adverbial clauses of time, place, cause, contrast, condition, purpose, result and manner. So when we talk about time, it describes, it answers the question when. When we talk about place, it answers the question where. When we talk about cause, it is where it caused or why. Contrast is how. What are the opposites, like how it happened. Condition is under what condition it happened. Purpose is why, what is the reason. And result is what's the result, what is the ultimate result of it. Manner again is how. So these are different types of adverbial clauses. Now if you look at the if clauses, which are the conditional clauses, you have type 1, type 2 and type 3. Type 1 is if plus present tense followed by will. Type 2 is if plus past tense followed by would or could. And type 3 is if plus past perfect tense plus would and present perfect tense. These are the different types of if clauses. Let us look at it one by one now. The first conditional clause. Here you have if clauses which starts with your if clause plus your present tense. And the main clause can be will, can, many, must plus the verb. If you look at it, if I go to London, I will see the Big Ben. So you have highlighted if here, go is your verb here and it is followed by will see. So as I say, will, can, may, must, can follow the verb. So if you look at the different examples I have given here, if I go to London, I will see the Big Ben. Okay, if I go to Buckingham Palace, I can take a photo of the Royal Guard. So here, if I is your if clause, go to Buckingham Palace. So go is your verb again. I can take. So it can be followed with can. As in the previous sentence, the verb was followed with will. Here the verb is followed with can. So first conditional clause is if plus present tense, your verb which is in your present tense, and it will be followed with will, can, must plus your verb. The first conditional is formed in this way. As I told you, if plus present tense plus will, and it can be infinitive. If you go to the zoo, you will see the lions. We must use the first conditional to talk about possible future events. So we use the first conditional clause for possible future events that would depend on another future events. If I pass my exams, my parents will buy me a scooter. So here we are talking about two possibilities that would happen in the future. If I pass my exam, passing is your verb, my parents will buy me a scooter. So this is all about future tense. Okay. Other possible patterns in the first conditional clause can be, if we save money, we can go on a holiday. So here it's can. If you see him, Tell him to give me a ring. So all these are future events. We are talking about possible events in the future. So the same thing I have given you again here. It's if plus subject plus present tense. That becomes your first conditional clause. The second conditional clause will be your same if clause plus past tense. In the first clause we use the present tense. Here we are using the past tense, and the main clause can be would, could, might plus the verb. Now look at the example. If I was an astronaut, I would travel in a spaceship. So here we are talking about something in the past. If I was an astronaut, I would travel in a spaceship. If I were an astronaut, I would travel in a spaceship. If I traveled in a spaceship, I would go to Mars. If I went to Mars, I would meet a Martian. If I met a Martian, I would understand him. So these are the different examples of second conditional where you are using if plus past tense plus your main clause and verb. Look at the different examples that I have given you here. Okay. The second conditional is if plus past tense plus your present conditional, that is your would, could. Okay. Here we talk about imaginary situations in the present or future. First conditional we spoke about events, possible events in the future. Here we are talking about the imaginary situations in the present or future. Examples: if I won $1 million, I would buy a new car. If I were you, I would quit smoking. So these are the examples, different examples that I am giving you here. Now if you look at the other examples that we are having here on the screen. If I won the lottery, I would travel around the world. If we don't have to work today, we could have a picnic. So these are the different kinds of imaginary situations about the present or future where you can use the second conditional clause if past tense plus present conditional. So these are to express imaginary situation in the present or future. Understood? And the third conditional clause here is if plus past perfect tense, which will follow with the main clause as would, could, might, have, and the past participle. For example, if I had studied hard, I would have passed my exams. If I had gone to the beach, I would have made some sand castles. So here we are talking about if plus past perfect with the main clause and the past participle. If you look at the conditional sentences type 3, here we express about a situation in the past. It is like hypothesis about the past, that what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? So something you're talking about the past, thinking about something imaginary, hypothetical. Then we also talk about the past situation, probably an impossible situation that would have already happened. An impossible situation because it would have already, now something that would have happened in the past, can you change it now? Probably you can change your actions, but an incident or event that would have happened in the past, you cannot change it. So it's an impossible situation because it has already happened in the past. And you can also express this as a regret. Third conditional clauses, you can also express it as a regret. Regret is something when you repent, you regret about it. So here you have if plus past perfect plus your conditional perfect, would have, or something like that, plus your verb with the past participle. So if you look at the examples, you will understand. If you had worked harder, you would have passed your exam. If she had found his phone number, she might have called him for the party. If I could have spoken English very well, I would have talked to the tourists in Paris. If I had found her address, I would have sent her an invitation. If she had driven carefully, she wouldn't have had an accident. So here you're talking about something, some events in the past, probably which you cannot change now, but you're talking about it using if plus your past perfect with your verb and your past participle. If you look at the different examples here again, if it hadn't been sunny, I wouldn't have gone sunburnt. So here it is like something that you're talking which has already happened and it's impossible to change. So you are using conditional 3 as it refers to past time to things that cannot be changed now. Always remember conditional 1, we spoke about possible events and think about the future. Conditional 2, we spoke about imaginary things in the present and future. And conditional 3, we are talking about something in the past. We refer to something in the past, things that cannot be changed now. So these were the conditional clauses for 1, 2 and 3. So if you look at it again, you can look here that I have given you type 1. Condition possible to fulfill, because something you're talking about future in type 1, you can probably fulfill it. It has if plus simple present plus will and your future tense. Example, if you invite me for lunch, I will help you with your presentation. So it is something that would happen in the future. So you are telling your friend, if you invite me tomorrow for lunch, I will definitely help you with the presentation. So this may happen, right? So this is a condition which can be fulfilled. Type 2 is condition in theory possible to fulfill. For example, if we had more employees, we would work more efficiently. So here it is kind of a hypothetical, it's kind of a question mark. Okay, so here you are using if plus your simple past, would and the infinitive. And the third condition is not possible to fulfill because it has already happened and it is impossible to change the event or the action now. So here you are using if plus past perfect, would plus have and your past participle. This table you always remember, children, it is very, very important. The example for the third conditional is if I had taken the bus, I would have been late. So here again I am showing you different examples and where you can use the conditional clauses. First conditional clauses you are going to use in possible situations in future which can be fulfilled. If it rains, I won't go to the park. So you know that if it's going to rain in the future, you are not going to the park. So that can be fulfilled. Second conditional is an hypothetical or improbable situation in the present or the future. If I won the lottery, I would buy a big house. So you are not very confident about it. It's an hypothetical. It may happen, it may not happen. The third conditional is hypothetical or unreal situation in the past. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. Right? So these are the different conditionals, type 1, type 2 and type 3, which you have to remember, which starts, type 1 starts with if plus present tense plus will and future. Type 2 starts with if plus simple past, your would and infinitive. Type 3 starts with if, past perfect, would have and past participle. Kindly have this registered in your mind so that it's easy for you to identify the sentence once you read it, which type of if clauses are used in the sentences. Thank you, students. I hope you have understood the concept about adverbial phrases, clauses and the different types of adverbial phrases and the conditional clauses. Kindly go through the video again and read the contents in your grammar book well to have a better understanding. Thank you, students.